All right, we're going to get right into this. So I don't want to take too much of your time tonight. We're going to do one chapter. We're going to be doing Matthew chapter 4. We'll go through this as quickly as we possibly can. I'll try not to be long-winded, but as always, that is not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee at all. But again, as you already know, a lot of things have been said. Oh, you can't read the 1611, 2025. I don't need to go through all the arguments. Y'all know what the arguments are. If you've seen this title and you've tuned into this video, you know all the arguments pro, you know the arguments anti. But I wanted to do these videos not only for those who are not completely sure, or they're not sure how to defend themselves in these situations when people say, oh, you know how many words have been changed? Oh, you know this has been changed, and you don't have an answer. And you shouldn't always have to have one, but there are times when you need one. But not only that, I do this for my boys as well, my 13-year-old and 10-year-old, my two youngest ones. They need to learn as they're growing up that they're going to be attacked. In fact, I think they'll be attacked even more than we're being attacked as Bible-believing Christians, because the world is getting crazier and crazier as we go along. So I don't want them to not have a defense go, well, because of the Word of God. Well, why is the Word? Because it is. Where does it come from? King James, AV 1611. You know, and it's not, and I'm saying it almost in a mocking term, and I don't mean it that, because people don't know. They don't. They're obviously believing the King James Bible, which they should. 100%. So do I. But how do you combat these geniuses on the other side who want to tear down people, mock them, pick out some weirdos like the Westboro Baptists and say, look, that's what KJV people are. Okay, I think that Robert Morris, who raped the little girl way back in the day, I think he's actually NKJV or ESV. Look, that's what the ESV crowd is. That's the moronity, the intellectually deficient approach and argument that they take. All right. Boy, Steve, you're negative. I just want KJV people, the real King James Bible believing, everyday man and woman who are at home, who believe in this Bible as well they should, to know that they've got the Word of God in their hands. All right, let's pull up. Well, when I pull this up, how do I get this on here? Let me remove that. Oh, that's me being removed. I'm going to add this. There we go. There we go. All right, let's see if I can zoom in this a little bit. It used to be a zoom button. Maybe it doesn't have a zoom button like it used to. Well, that's weird. I thought there was a little zoom button I could zoom in on it. I don't know. What's this? Yikes. Whoa, that's talk about Zoom. That sure zoomed it. Wow. All right, Matthew chapter 4. We have 25 verses. If you can't see them, 25 verses, 557 words, 84 supposed spelling changes, 10 capitals, 4, I should have put the quotation mark, 94 changes. So you have 94 changes here. I'm going to scroll down because, as you know, we take the 1611 in this column, 2025 in that column. Remember, they say 94 changes. 94 changes. Like Jesus. Iesus to Jesus. 60. You have up 4 times. Wilderness. Be. Devil. He. Days. Son. Live. I know it says Liue. But again, we know that back in that time frame, V and U were interchanged all the time. Please do read on this. Just do the background on this one. I think that, again, I think some of these scholars think you're too stupid to do so, or too ignorant, or they just don't care and they don't want you to do it, to be honest with you. So in that time frame, we know about the J's, we know about the V and the U, even the W, in some cases the F and the S in different fonts. But all right. And by the way, which is hilarious, I was just for the heck of it looking up one of Shakespeare's, was it Shakespeare or another playwright during that time frame, the 1600s? I think it was the Act 1 in King Lear. King Lear. It was 3 words which were funny there. Deprived. Hold on. There we go. I actually wrote it down. Shakespeare, King's Lear, and just right in the Act 1, it was, I was going to put them on the screen. I forgot, and I apologize. let's see, preserved. Oh no, I'm sorry, prescribed. Now you want to know how it was spelled back in Prescrib apostrophe D. No E there. Why is there no E? Not concerned about it. But the point is, what? Should we just take apart Shakespeare? It's no good. Shouldn't read Shakespeare. Can't read Shakespeare. There's better translators or translations. You don't see that. Why do you not see people attack Shakespeare? Because it's not the word of God. Deprived was another one. Deprib apostrophe D. And then shaft or chafed. I'm sorry. Chaf apostrophe D. Now in the King James 1611, it's spelled Chaffed, and then it's updated in the modern King James. My. Why do they not attack these old writings of literature and things like that? Because it's not the word of God. They don't feel the need they have to change that. It's just the word of God in the King James Bible. They want to change that King James Bible. They want you out of that King. Don't get fooled when they say, "Oh, it's a beautiful translation. It's a wonderful translation." But here are all the problems. Every time. All right, he, days. And by the way, you can phonetically read these. Phonetically, you know what these are, so it's not complicated. Days, sun, live, again with the U. Euery, very common. And again, if you were in that time frame, 1611, 1610, 1608, 1612, you knew the word. You were reading the word properly. That's another thing you have to understand, or we need to understand, is the word was read correctly then. It might be spelled differently to us, but it was proper then. City, unto thyself, down, give, which you can see over here, it's 2 times. And the and symbol was put in the older ones. And there's a reason why some of these things change too. And I'm going to probably add this down the road as well. In the Tyndale and stuff like that, or the Geneva, they take a couple of them and they put back in like the and symbols or the and or just different words that were there. And then somehow they went missing and they was like, what happened? You know? All right. Hands, bear, foot, again, mountain. I don't even have to look to the right column because the left column is pretty obvious. Kingdoms. Now, one of my boys did say onely on this one. That's understandable. That's understandable. Again, 10-year-old, 13-year-old. But we're going to get to that later on in the video, the percentages that they got on that. Serve, leaveth, ministered, John, leaving, upon, Naphtali. Now, this was a change here. Naphtali. Nephthalim. So there's an M here. So that was an addition on the M there. So there's M here and not there. So that happens. Jordan, sat. Now I can see this word right here. I can see someone saying sate. I can see that happening. Day long. Yeah, I know it's sat. But someone, if they were reading it for the first time, yeah, I can see them thinking of sate. Darkness, kingdom, heaven, me, saw, and that happens a lot with these type of words like me, he, be. There's that extra e. You'll see that a lot. It just happens all the time in Old English. Just immediately. Now, at first, you wouldn't think there's anything wrong here, but you'll notice they love their e's. There's an e right here. Didn't change the word or anything. Doesn't change context. Ship, manner, sickness. Now, this is another one. Throughout. I would pronounce it throughout. And that's how they would probably pronounce it then. Now, throughout, I can see someone not getting that properly. Hey, it happens. Sick, diverse, devils, lunatic, palsy, Jerusalem. H was another one that was commonly used too. If you deep dive or whatever, if you do some research on H in the etymology and the origin of certain letters and words, you'll see why in those time frames it happened. So, and people say it's an error. It's not an error. It's not an error at all. It's just the way it was. And Judea, we missed that. All right, let's look at the capitals. So we changed in 1611. We had temple capitalized. They lowercase that. They capitalized the word for. I have no idea why. And it's lowercase there. Angels, then they lowercased it. Devil, you'll see the extra L, but I've already accounted for that. Excuse me. and there's only one here, lowercase 1. C, you'll see this happen a number of times in upcoming videos. You'll see how they did do that. It was a capitalized S in a lot of places. And honestly, I don't know why they did that. At least I'm being honest with you. I'm not trying to make up stuff what people do. So that's 3 times that's happened. Profit, that happens quite a lot. They capitalize the P in the 1611, but lowercase it in 2025. I say 2025 because we're in 2025 now. Synagogues to synagogues. Now, this is the fun part. We like doing this part. We like the whole, I'm going to pour a glass of water right while I'm doing this video because that is professional. But if you guys watch my live stream, you know that's what I do. I'm always drinking a glass of water. I don't try to be Mr. Professional over here. Scholars, as always, I put in the quotation marks. 550 words, and this is what they'll tell you. Again, throw out the biggest numbers possible to mislead people, just like the government does. Throw out these numbers. We learned it during that whole craze there from 2020 to 2023, 4, whatever. Big numbers. Throw out the biggest numbers you can find. Don't explain them. Just throw them out there and just do some fear mongering. Well, it's not fear mongering here, but this is to get you thinking, oh, wow, I know that much. So we got 94 changes, 16.8%. That means 16.8% of it's incorrect. There's changes, there's errors, there's problems. And they'll say that. They won't say even changes sometimes. They'll just flat out tell you, this is errors. This is errors. 16.8% of them, that one chapter is just like, wow. And people listening sometimes go, wow, I never knew. You never knew because it's not accurate. Now, this says reality, but it's not completely. 557 words, just like over here, but actually 60 changes. And notice I put in notice how I put in quotation marks. But you go back up here and you look at the words. We're talking about changes. You know, like an E at the end of sickness. Or the E in the middle of it. Let's see. What about James? There's no J. There's a change, huh? Kingdom. There's an E at the end of kingdom. Uh-oh. There's an E at the end of set. Oh, these errors are just, they're messing up the whole doctrine in these words. Now you got 13 J's. Now let's take out, and oh, by the way, that was 10.7%. So if we went by just that surface, it's 10.7% because some of the words, because they will count every word, even if it's the same word appears 5 times. But in reality, it's 10.7 when you break it down to actual. It's 60. Now we take out the 13 J's and we take out the 10 capitals. Let's just take out the capitals that change absolutely nothing in the context or a doctrine or anything like that. So we take out those capitals and those J's, and you're left with 37. You look at 37 actual spelling issues. And what do you get? Now you're down 6.6%. So we've gone from 16.8% that the scholars will tell you that have changed down to 6.6% in reality. But it gets better. And I wrote this for fun. Now for a new addition to the stats. I've added something a little different this time. I'm a stats guy. I was an inventory guy. I like numbers, hate math. What are you going to do, you know? So you minus the 18 changes that were actually not errors, but were spelled correctly. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Some of the words were actually spelled properly back in there. That VNTO, that was proper spelling then. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's hard to believe, but it was. Again, you're in a time frame in England at that point where things are still coming together in an alphabet and how they're organizing their letters at that time frame and what they're using for letters in the system. I mean, Greek is the same way. What do you got? Alpha, I don't even know all the letters, but alpha, beta, alpha, beta, delta, theta. Anyways, now for a new addition to the stats. Minus 18 changes that were actually not errors, but were spelled correctly in 1611. So understand that right there. In 1611, they were spelled correctly. We look as an error because we've taken off certain letters, but they weren't an error. So now you're actually down to 19 changes. 19 changes. Now you go ahead and you take out 15 of those words that are easy to read for anyone, even an adult. Like you can figure out, what was it, mountain, kingdom, he, set, well, not set, weakness. Was weakness in that one? I think so. Now you're down to 4. You're down to 4 that are questionable. And that brings you to what? 0.007%. Wait, I just noticed that. That's James Bond, isn't it? 007 James Bond. 0.007% actual change that may be difficult for when they first look at it. 7%. Wow. 4 words. So what's that? Take out 553. 553 divided by what? 557. So 99.2%. 99.2%. No difficulty here. Now, the fun part. I think this is the funnest part. What is the difficulty level for my guys, my boys, my kids? All right, difficulty level 1611. Oh, look at that. We'll just highlight the whole thing and leave it like that. Well, let's do it. All right, Josh, the 10-year-old, 82%. Alex, he's 13 years old, 92%. Why do I do this? Because if these kids can get it, well, it's different because they've been reading the King James Bible all your life. No. Now, and I've been honest about this before, Josh has a little bit more difficulty reading, writing his some of his words. It's amazing. Some words he can pronounce that are incredibly hard. And I don't know how he pronounces it, but then he'll get some easy ones and he doesn't. It's kind of weird. But he gets down on himself. If he gets one word wrong, he gets down on himself. But he gets some complicated words right sometimes, which is amazing to me. And he's probably on par, maybe slightly above average, maybe for a 10-year-old when it comes to work. He does not like school, even homeschool. He's just one of those kids who got to keep being active. Now, this young man who does not like to read, not a big reader, Alex is more of a reader, 82%. So are you telling me, or I should say the scholars are telling you, that you're too stupid? You don't have the ability to read a King James Bible. But this 10-year-old can read at 82% proficiency. If that's a proper grammatical sentence, I don't know. We have to stop letting these guys tell us that we can't do something. So when they tell you, well, you're not reading 1611, well, you kind of are. There's not a lot of changes, percentage-wise, scheme of things. And what I say, 0.007% was an actual change that may be difficult for adults to read. That's my opinion. I mean, that's what the numbers break down. I mean, if you read them, again, if a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old can read the English at 82% of the Old English, 92% of the Old English, I think there shouldn't be a problem. I really don't. I really, really don't. So if you are a King James Bible believing Christian, and I know what you're saying, Steve, I never really thought about it. I really never doubted my ability to read it. And I'm glad, and that's awesome. But sometimes they're beginning, they're just getting the KJV, and they're being told a lot of things. Oh, this is easier. Oh, this is easier. Oh, this is easier. I'm telling you right now, if this 10-year-old and this 13-year-old can read at 82% and 92%, you can read in a 92%, 94%, 99%. I know there might be hard words, but like anything we've ever done in our entire life, when we're in school, if we had homework or anything like that, sometimes even reading a book, although sometimes you can get the definition in the context itself. Actually, a majority of the time you can figure it out just in the context of a sentence or a paragraph. You get the kind of a gist of something, you know what it might mean. We look it up. Takes 2 seconds. What bothered me, there was a preacher one time. I saw him on YouTube. He was doing, I saw some KJV, NKJV guy or whatever. I don't know what it was all about. Anyways, but I remember this. He doesn't have time to stop in the middle of a sermon to go through an explanation of a word. Well, you are the laziest person in the world that should not be behind a pulpit. Now we can have our arguments of whether it should be pulpits or no pulpits. That's another conversation. But the majority of you know what a preacher and a pastor is. If you can't stop for probably 5 seconds to explain a word that you should know, and by the way, there was another preacher one time on the internet, of course, was saying there are words he doesn't know. Now, maybe I'm a bad guy here. I don't know, but shouldn't you? Going to be preaching all the time, and this is your profession, because it is a profession, by the way, nowadays. It wasn't always, but it is now. You went to 6 years of college or whatever. You got your master's in theological degrees and this and that and the other, but you can't pronounce a word. Kind of a problem, isn't it? All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. Obviously, the next one will be coming out in a few days. We'll be doing chapter 5. I'm looking at the whiteboard over here. Chapter 5. Yeah, we might just do chapter 5. That's got a lot more verses on it. Maybe we'll do 5 and 6, but we'll definitely do at least chapter 5. All right. I appreciate your time as I always do. I'm grateful all the time when you tune in. I am hoping that this helps. And by the way, if I've missed a word, if you're a person who has a 1611 and the regular King James of the day, and you notice something that I'm missing a letter or a word or a capital, hey, let me know in the comments below. That's fine. Or send me an email, whatever it may be. I'd be glad to fix it because we're not all perfect. In fact, when I was doing this, because that's another thing, and I'm like, how can they make mistakes? Are you kidding me? Back then, what they had to do? I mean, I just said what I do. I'm like, that's just, here's one of the notebooks, but I'm trying to write them across, transcribe them over here, going through each one. Then I go back, and I'm, the third time through, I'm like, oh, okay, now I got it down. So I mean, you might miss a letter, and like the word immediately, I missed that one. I missed the E, and then I went back through. I'm like, oh, how did I miss that E? So if we can make a mistake now, of course they're going to make a mistake then, missing a letter or added a letter. Give me a break. All right, with that, I appreciate your time as always. God bless and have a beautiful day. I'm going to awkwardly try to hit the end record button because I can't see it. All right, good night and God bless. All right.